Have you ever wondered, what if the greatest medicine isn't outside of us, but already flowing quietly within? We often rush to fix the body with pills, a tablet for the headache, a syrup for the cough, a sedative for the stress. But rarely do we pause and ask, why is my body hurting? What is it trying to tell me? We forget the body doesn't speak in words. It speaks in signals. Pain is not always a punishment. Often, it's a message. Fatigue, restlessness, illness, these are not random enemies. They are sacred messengers whispering, something needs to change. There's a quote I once read. Yogananda said something like this: "The human body has a divine intelligence. If you learn to listen, it will guide you back to balance. But instead of listening, we silence it. We drown the signals in noise, caffeine, scrolling, screens, and stimulants. We forget that healing doesn't always come in a prescription bottle. Sometimes it starts in stillness." As you know, my channel was demonetized by YouTube, so I am not earning anything from this. If you think you have learned something from this channel, you can support me by visiting the links in comments and description. Thanks. Let me tell you a story. There was once a man named Anshuman. Since childhood, his life was a carousel of ailments: chronic fatigue, digestive issues, asthma, one label after another, yet no lasting solution. Doctors called it chronic fatigue syndrome. He tried everything: medicines, yoga, even holistic therapy. But nothing seemed to stick. One day, almost by accident, he met a monk. Not a famous one. Not a guru with a following. Just a quiet old man who spent his mornings sitting by the river, watching the water flow. Anshuman poured his frustrations out. Every test, every diagnosis, every sleepless night. The monk listened silently, then said only one thing: "Your illness is not a curse. It's communication. Sit with it. Listen." That one sentence hit him harder than any medicine ever had. From that day, Anshuman stopped trying to fix his body like a machine. Instead, he began meeting it like an old friend. Every morning, he'd sit near the river with eyes closed, not meditating, not chanting, just listening. At first, there was nothing, just restlessness. But slowly, he began noticing things. A heaviness in the shoulders he never paid attention to. A quiet heat in his gut, not pain, just a subtle fire. A strange lightness in his chest on certain mornings. Within weeks, something shifted. He started waking up less tired. Food digested better. His anger softened. The doctors were confused. The reports showed improvement, but they couldn't explain it. Anshuman could. He wasn't cured by a miracle. He was restored by awareness. He had learned the first secret of true healing. The body is not a burden. It's a mirror of the soul. Science now calls it bioenergy. Yogis have always called it prana. Call it what you want, it's real. A river of intelligence flowing through every cell. But most of us never feel it because we're never still long enough to hear it whisper. The truth is, you don't need to do anything right away. You just need to pause. To stop running long enough to ask, what is my body really saying? If you can't sleep, maybe it's not insomnia. Maybe your nervous system is screaming for stillness. If food doesn't feel nourishing, maybe your fire agni is weak and it needs rest more than fuel. If your head is always aching, maybe your soul is tired of screens and is longing for sky. But instead of asking, we swallow a pill and keep scrolling. What if, just for 1 week, you sat with your body like a friend who has been trying to get your attention for years? What if healing isn't about control, but cooperation? This isn't to say medicine is wrong. Far from it. But no medicine is complete unless the soul agrees. Yogananda once wrote, "When the mind is calm and the body in balance, the disease finds no home." That's not philosophy. That's practical truth. So, the question is not, how do I heal? The deeper question is, am I ready to hear what my body has been saying all along? Start there. Sit in silence. No music, no phone, no pressure. Just listen. That's where real healing begins. The old rishis used to say, food is Brahman. But they weren't just talking about rice or lotus. They meant that everything we take in, not just into our stomach, but into our eyes, our ears, and especially our mind, becomes who we are. And yet, how do most of us begin our mornings? We wake up and the first thing we feed ourselves isn't peace? It's panic. Scrolling news, checking messages, watching chaotic headlines. This is like taking a shot of poison before breakfast, not for the body, but for the soul. We forget that just as stale, unhealthy food can harm the body, toxic thoughts, images, and emotions can pollute the entire nervous system. But here's the good news. Just as we can purify the stomach with fasting, we can cleanse the mind with silence. Silence isn't just the absence of noise. It is the presence of clarity. But to return to that clarity, we have to make a sacred decision to turn inward, to stop running from symptom to symptom and finally pause long enough to ask, what is my body really asking of me? It speaks, not in words, but in signals. That sudden fatigue that hits you like a wave, the dull ache in your head that no tablet fully cures, the restlessness at night, the constant tightening in your chest. They're not random. They're messages. When your energy feels stuck, when your face loses its glow, when your emotions become heavy for no reason, these are the body's subtle ways of calling you back home. But we ignore them. We push. We numb. We silence the messenger instead of reading the message. And so, the body, patient as it is, tries again. Louder this time. And if we still don't listen, it shakes us through bigger illnesses. It's not punishment. It's a deeper kind of mercy. One day, though, something shifts. You finally sit down. You place your phone aside. You close your eyes, and you ask the question most people are too afraid to ask. What am I truly feeling right now? It's such a simple question, and yet it can begin a revolution within you. Maybe you feel nothing at first, but maybe, just maybe, you notice your breath for the first time in years, not as a biological function, but as a river, a friend, a guide. You realize your shoulders are heavier than you thought. You feel tension sitting in your belly like a stone. You hear your heartbeat, not just as sound, but as presence. This is the beginning, not of healing alone, but of awakening. You see, the body isn't something we fix when it breaks. It's something we understand every day. Like a child that cries when something is wrong, it doesn't need to be silenced, it needs to be held. Your body is no different. It has been your temple since the moment you were born. A temple that breathes, bleeds, ages, loves, and yet never asks for anything but awareness. But most of us only notice it when something hurts. We treat it like a machine, and when it malfunctions, we curse it. But the body is not a machine. It's a living, conscious being, a reflection of your soul's journey. Yogananda once wrote, "The body is the most intricate and divine creation of God. If you can learn to listen to it, you will begin to understand life itself." That listening, that sacred listening, is what we've forgotten. And the only way to remember is to slow down. This is where we begin to talk about something deeper, meditation. Not just closing your eyes and sitting still. True meditation is learning to bring your entire attention inward, to sit in the stillness behind your breath, and watch your inner world begin to heal itself. You'll notice something beautiful. When the mind becomes quiet, the body begins to open. When the breath deepens, energy starts flowing again. When you become still, your system reboots itself. You've probably seen this happen. When you're stressed, your breath becomes shallow. Your gut tightens. Your shoulders rise. Your body literally contracts. There's a light in the eyes that only returns when the storm within has passed. That light, that silent glow, is what true meditation awakens. Meditation isn't a ritual. It's not religion. It's simply the act of coming home to yourself. It's the moment you stop running and finally sit with your own breath, your own truth, your own pain. When you begin to breathe deeply and listen inwardly, your cells, those tiny living beings inside you, begin to awaken. Old toxins begin to leave. New energy begins to move. And healing doesn't remain just a word. It becomes a real felt shift. Not magic, not miracle, but a science more ancient than time. The science of stillness. Let me tell you a story. A woman named Anjali was once told she had no hope. Cancer had spread. Doctors offered sympathy instead of solutions. But Anjali didn't give up. Every morning, before the sun rose, she sat in silence. No noise, no demands, just her breath and her pain. She stopped eating anything heavy, just fruits and simple food. She turned inward. And then she did something no one talks about. She spoke to her illness. Yes, she asked her cancer, "Why are you here?" And deep in meditation, a whisper rose within her. "You forgot yourself. That's why I came." She wept, not out of fear, but out of recognition, out of the deep knowing that her illness was also her teacher. From that day on, her healing wasn't just physical. It was emotional, spiritual. She let herself cry. She let the anger surface. She let the grief flow, and slowly, the pain dissolved. Months later, when the tests came back, the doctors were stunned. No sign of disease. But Anjali wasn't surprised, because she knew. It wasn't just medicine. It was the power of awareness. The body responds to the mind, and the mind responds to stillness. That's why breath, your prana, becomes the bridge. Every inhale is life entering. Every exhale is a little bit of death, letting go. When you watch the breath, not control it, just observe it, you begin to touch the mind behind the mind. And once you reach there, you start to influence the body from within. Most illness begins in the mind, in thoughts never expressed, in fears never faced, in emotions never processed. But where to begin? Start simply. Wake up early, before the noise of the world finds you. Sit in a quiet place, back straight, eyes closed, and just watch the breath moving in and out. Your mind will wander. Let it, but gently bring it back. Each breath is like a wave returning you to shore. One day, something shifts. You'll start to hear your body, not just feel it, but hear its whispers. And that's the day your healing begins. Yogananda once said, "When you truly know yourself, you can speak to every cell in your body, and no illness can touch you." That isn't fantasy. That's wisdom born of experience. Every sincere meditator will tell you, they began as seekers. They ended as healers. Because meditation doesn't just cleanse your thoughts. It purifies your energy. It realigns your systems. It awakens your inner intelligence. In this modern world, where nearly everyone is battling anxiety, fatigue, and imbalance, meditation is no longer a luxury. It's a lifeline. No equipment, no expense, just your willingness to sit with yourself. And here's a secret. Your body is always listening. It knows when you're angry at it. It knows when you're ashamed of it. And it knows when you love it. That's why self-acceptance is just as important as silence. You cannot heal a body you secretly resent. You cannot nourish a heart you keep judging. But when you forgive yourself, when you say, "I accept you exactly as you are," your body softens. Your cells begin to open. Your breath becomes prayer. Before you reach for another tablet, ask yourself, do I love this body? Have I ever thanked it for carrying me all these years? Gratitude is a medicine no one prescribes, and yet it heals deeper than any drug. Now we arrive at the third truth, a truth that bridges the body with the soul, the illness with awareness. Paramhansa Yogananda often said, "The body does not fall sick on its own. Illness begins when consciousness falls out of harmony." Yes, the disease you see on the surface is the echo of something disordered within. It's not just the food, the air, or the fatigue. It's the burden of thought, the storm of emotion, the disconnection from your purpose. When we drift away from why we were born, when we lose ourselves in anger, fear, and endless wanting, the body begins to resist. It tries to carry this spiritual weight, but it cannot do it forever. And eventually, it breaks. That is why Yogananda said, beyond food and medicine, there is something more powerful: faith, unshakable faith. If you can simply believe that your body can heal, and nourish that belief like you would a fragile flame in the wind, miracles begin. But most people do the opposite. They say to themselves, "This will never go away. The doctor said it's permanent. I'm stuck with this forever." And so the disease deepens. You must understand, medicine works on the body, but faith works on the soul. And when the soul awakens, that's when the real healing begins. Let me tell you a story. There was a young man named Deepak. His liver was failing. Doctors told him bluntly, "Only a transplant can save you." But Deepak didn't only follow the treatment, he did something more. Every morning, he stood before his mirror and said, "My liver is healing, my body is strong, I am completely healthy." Not once, many times a day, he would sit quietly, eyes closed, and imagine his liver glowing with divine light. Warm, radiant, alive. 3 months later, his scans shocked the doctors. 70% recovery. They couldn't explain it, but Deepak knew the medicine helped. But his belief had done something far deeper. Inside each one of us, there is a silent, untouched power. Call it the soul, the inner healer, the divine spark. But we rarely call upon it, because we've learned to depend only on pills, injections, and surgery. But have you ever closed your eyes and softly asked your body, "How do you feel today?" The first few times, silence. But then, a soft voice inside you whispers, "I'm tired. Please give me rest." And when you listen, healing begins. Ancient texts said, "The mind is both bondage and liberation." If your mind believes in sickness, your body will follow. But if your mind declares, "I am healing, I am whole," and says it with full conviction, the body will respond like a loyal child. Modern science calls this the placebo effect, but yogis knew this long before the term existed, that your thoughts, your emotions, and your words can shape the very chemistry of your body. But don't repeat them mechanically. Feel them. When you say, "There is divine power in my body," My cells are filling with light. I am healing. Let it not be mere words. Let it be truth. Let your entire being echo with belief. Now, you may ask, can belief alone cure illness? The answer is no. Not belief alone, but belief, emotion, faith, repetition, equals an energy that can change the structure of your cells. It's like planting a seed. You don't expect it to bear fruit the next day. You water it. You let sunlight touch it. You wait, and slowly, it grows. Likewise, when you stop fighting your illness and begin listening to it, when you stop fearing your pain and start forgiving your past, your soul begins to rise beside your body. And now comes another secret: forgiveness. So many diseases are born not from germs, but from old wounds, silent anger, and heavy guilt. You cannot be free while holding chains of resentment. If you have not yet forgiven your parents, your partner, or even yourself, that anger becomes poison in your veins. But the moment you say, "I forgive, I release, I let go," a burden lifts. The body breathes again, and the healing deepens. Just like that, gratitude is medicine. Each morning say, "Thank you, body, for waking up today. Thank you, God, for breathing through me." This simple feeling, love, is the oldest, most sacred medicine in the universe. A doctor can prescribe treatment, but only the soul can truly restore the temple of the body. So now, you've understood. The first step, listening to your body. The second, cleansing energy through breath and meditation. And now the third, reprogramming your body with unwavering belief and inner feeling. But we are not done yet, because in the final part, we will uncover the fourth and deepest secret, a truth that not only heals, but awakens the immortal light within you, the part untouched by illness, untouched by death. Are you ready for that? And now, the final truth. When you begin practicing all three, listening, breathing, believing, a quiet revolution begins within you. Illness no longer finds a home inside your body, because disease is darkness, and the moment your inner lamp is lit, the darkness has no place to hide. But let me be honest with you. This change doesn't happen overnight. This path asks for something rare: time, patience, and above all, love. Not for someone else, but for yourself. When you begin to love yourself, not in vanity, but in gentle awareness, not as a machine to fix, but as a dear companion to cherish, that's when the miracle begins. And that miracle is no mystery. It is the natural law of the soul. Any sincere seeker can experience it. So, dear friend, this was the third and final secret. A truth that doesn't just treat symptoms, but burns the roots of illness with the fire of consciousness. Now the path lies before you. Will you leave this video with only a thought? Or will you take the first step and begin transforming your life? The choice is always yours. This video is not just information. It is an invitation to return to yourself. And if even a single word here sparked a tremor in your heart, if a tiny part of you awakened and whispered, "This is real, I want to try," then hold that spark gently. Let it grow. And if this message touched you, like this video, comment and tell us what you felt. Share your experiences, not for us, but for others who might be walking the same lonely road. And don't forget to subscribe to Scipio's Dossier. This is not just a channel. It is a sacred space where we don't just talk. We light lamps. We walk into the dark with the torch of soul, wisdom in hand. Stay close, stay lit,